Robert Harrison stops at the entrance of the mansion, the keys slipping from his trembling hands when he heard something impossible from the living room. Laughs. His son Michael has been laughing for the first time in 3 years since the accident that killed his wife Jennifer and left the 10-year-old in a wheelchair. From the corridor, he sees a scene that makes his heart accelerate. The new maid, Rosa Mendoza, is dancing around Michael's chair, making funny voices while imitating different animals. "Look, Prince Michael, the bouncing rabbit is looking for magical carrots to make you smile higher." Michael clap weakly, but he is clapping. Her eyes shine in a way that Robert had forgotten that existed. The boy moves his arms, trying to imitate the sounds that Rosa makes, as if waking from a deep sleep of years. Tears come without warning to Robert's eyes. 2 thick tears slip down his face. It is an impossible miracle happening in your own home. The emotion is so great that he lets the keys fall. The noise echoes through the whole room, breaking the magic instantly. Michael stops laughing, shrinks in the chair, and is again the apathetic boy Robert has known for 3 years. It is as if someone has turned off a light. "Who are you? What are you doing with my son?" Robert's voice comes out of emotion and despair. Rosa gets up quickly, smoothing her simple uniform. "Hello, Mr. Harrison. I'm Rosa Mendoza. I came to work here today. Didn't the agency warn?" Her voice carries a soft Filipino accent, but there is something different in the way she treats Michael. She doesn't look at him with pity. It doesn't treat him like a poor thing. It treats you like a normal child. Robert looks at Michael, who is now looking at his own hands. The change was brutal, from the happy child to the broken child in 2 seconds. "My God, I'm sorry. Do you want me to come back another day? I didn't want to bother." "No, you can stay. Just be careful with him. My son is very fragile." Rosa looks at Michael and then to Robert. Her eyes say she disagrees. For her, the boy doesn't look fragile. It just looks very lonely. "Of course I'll be careful." But Robert sees that she won't stop playing with Michael, and for the first time in a long time, he's not sure he wants her to stop. On the second day, Robert peeks from the office window. Rosa is in the garden working, and Michael is on the porch watching her. She's not just cleaning, she's telling stories. "Do you know what happened this morning? Flowers told me a secret. The rose there, see, is a little dramatic. It keeps complaining from the sun all day. It looks angry at the rose and shy face for the daisy." Michael watches everything carefully. It is more interest than he has shown for anything in 3 years. Robert feels a pain in his chest. "When was the last time you tried to make your child laugh? When did you stop trying because it hurt to see Michael without reaction?" The memory suddenly enough. Jennifer pushing Michael on the swing, the two shouting with joy. "Higher, Mom, taller." It was a Saturday morning. Last Saturday before everything is over. Robert closes his eyes. If I had not insisted for Jennifer to go to the supermarket with him, if it had driven slower in the rain, if, a noise takes him from bad thoughts. Michael is applauding again, stronger this time. A salary of applause to the performance of Rose. It is the first movement that Robert sees his son to make his own will in months. "Mr. Harrison?" Rosa's voice scares him. He climbed the porch without him noticing. "Sorry to bother. I just wanted to know if I can prepare something for Michael to eat. He hardly had breakfast." Robert looks at his son, and truth. Michael eats only what is needed to survive, unwillingly, without pleasure. "You can try, but it's hard to eat. I can do cut-shaped seeded sandwiches. Sometimes it works when it looks fun." Robert means that nothing works with Michael, who has tried everything, but there is hope in the look of Rosa. An hour later, Pink comes back with a tray. The sandwiches are cut into butterflies shaped with cherry tomatoes of antennas and winged lettuce. "Look, Michael, the butterflies came to lunch with you. They are starving, poor things." Michael looks at the tray with curiosity, hesitates, then take a butterfly and give a small bite. Robert almost screams of emotion from the window. Michael ate on his own will. Even champion. The butterflies said, "You're the kindest boy you've ever met." When Rosa goes away, she bees down at Michael's height. "Tomorrow we play more, okay, my prince?" Michael nods. It's very soft, but it's a clear yes. Robert feels something I hadn't felt for 3 years. Truth, hope. But what neither Robert nor Rosa knows is that someone was watching from the second-floor window, a shadow that accompanied each movement, every little progress, and this shadow was not happy with what he saw. 3 days later, Rosa's special routine with Michael had already become a tradition. She transformed the cleaning of the house into a great adventure. In the mornings, he pushed his chair around the house, inventing stories about everything. The vase in the room turned into a castle. The luminaire became a spaceship. The stairs became a mountain of kind dragons. Michael reacted more every day. I pointed to things when I wanted Rosa to tell them. I moved my mouth as if trying to speak. His eyes shone again. During a game in the room, Rosa put children's music and began dancing around Michael's chair. "Let's dance, my prince. You move the arms and I move the feet." Michael raised his arms and shook at the rhythm. It wasn't much, but it was participation. It was life coming back. Robert watched hidden at the door, wanted to come in and participate, but I was afraid to spoil everything, fear that his presence would make Michael return to silence. During the afternoon snack, the impossible happened. Rosa was telling an adventure where she and Michael were brave explorers. And now, brave Michael explorer, we need to cross the hungry crocodiles river. Do you have the courage? Michael looked at her with full attention. His mouth moved slowly. Robert leaned forward. The heart fired. So, softly like a whisper, Michael said, "Ma, Ma." Robert froze. Michael tried to say, "Mom," not referring to the dead Jennifer. "Mom," looking at Rosa. Rosa was moved but did not scandal, just smiled with love. "That's right, my prince. M of a magician like you." When Rosa left that day, she walked differently. There was hope in his footsteps and determination in his eyes. She really managed to make Michael react. But neither Rose nor Robert knew anyone was watching the second-floor window, an elegant figure that accompanied each movement, every short progress, and that person was not happy with what he saw. A week later, on the 7th day of Rosa's work, everything changed. She was pushing Michael's chair down the hall, humming, when the doorbell rang. Robert went to answer and she heard a muffled conversation at the door. Then, steps approaching. "Michael, there is someone very special here to see you." Robert's voice was strange, mixed with emotion and astonishment. When the woman entered the room, Rosa felt like the world had stopped. It was impossible. It could not be real. The woman was identical to Jennifer's photos scattered around the house. The same height, even blonde hair, same blue eyes, the same way to dress. It was as if Robert's dead wife had risen. The impact on Michael was devastating. The boy shouted strange of terror and began to shake violently in his chair. His eyes filled with tears as he stared at the appearance. "Hi, my little angel." Aunt Victoria came back. The voice was also almost the same as Jennifer's. Victoria approached and kissed Michael's forehead, who was still shaking with fear. Robert was clearly shaken, his hands shaking as he made the presentations. "Rosa, this is Victoria, my wife's twin sister. Victoria, this is Pink, our employee." Victoria stretched her hand to Rosa with a smile that didn't come to the eyes. There was something cold in that smile. "Pleasure, Rosa. I hope you are taking good care of our family." "Our family." The word sounded possessive. "I'm doing my best," Rosa answered cautiously. "I'm sure. Robert told me that you've been very affectionate with Michael." There was something in the way Victoria said that bothered Rosa, as if her affection with Michael were inappropriate. Robert explained the situation while Michael was in shock. Victoria was in Spain recovering from Jennifer's loss. Now it's back to be close to them. Help with Michael. Good, he needs the family. Rosa tried to seem sincere, but something didn't fit. If Victoria was recovering from the morning, why did you seem so controlled, so calculating? Exactly. The family understands the family better than anyone, isn't it, Robert? The way Victoria looked at Robert was loaded with meanings that Rosa didn't understand. There was history there, old feelings. "Michael, love, won't you hug your aunt?" Victoria tried to hug the boy, but he cringed in the chair, making sounds of despair. "He's still very sensitive," Robert explained quickly. "The accident made him very traumatized." "Of course I understand. But I'm a family, Robert. I'm the most similar person with Jennifer that exists. If anyone can help you improve, it's me." Rosa looked at Michael and saw something terrifying. All the progress of last week had disappeared. The boy volted to the apathetic state of the first months after the accident. Worse, it seemed to be very afraid. Victoria noticed the worried look of Rosa and smiled coldly. "You must be wondering about the resemblance, isn't it?" "Yes, Jennifer and I were identical twins. Everyone says that even our personality was similar." But Rosa saw that Victoria's eyes were different. Jennifer radiated love in the photos. Victoria radiated something cold. Robert was visibly thrilled to see Victoria, for him to be like having a living version of Jennifer back. "It's so good to have you here, Victoria. Michael needs a maternal figure and you're the closest person to Jennifer we have." "Exactly. And now that I'm here I can take care of him personally. I'm sure Rosa understands that being a family, I have priority in Michael's decisions." The message was clear and direct. Victoria was marking territory. "Of course," Rosa answered, but there was resistance in her voice. When Robert went out to get the car's bags from the car, she approached Rosa. The smile disappeared completely. "Just to make it very clear," he whispered low so that only Rosa would hear. "I hope you understand what your place is in this house. You're the employee. I'm a family. Don't forget that." The tone was pure threat. When Robert returned, Victoria was smiling sweetly again. Rosa looked at Michael one last time before leaving. The boy was looking at her with pleading eyes, as he asking not to leave him alone with the woman like her dead mother. But Rosa couldn't do anything. Victoria was right. She was just the employee. That night, for the first time in months, Michael peed again in bed. Robert found his son crying in the darkness, whispering softly, "Mom, Mom." But I wasn't calling Jennifer. I was afraid of the woman identical to her. In the following days, Rosa began to notice inconsistencies in Victoria's history. During a casual conversation, Victoria commented on a new bakery that opened 6 months ago in the region. "Ah, these sweet breads of cinnamon are delicious, aren't they?" Rosa was thoughtful. How did Victoria know about the bakery if she was in Spain? Then he noticed that Victoria knew the song Robert was darkening lately, a song that only started playing on the radio 3 months ago. And there were more strange things. Victoria knew that Robert changed the coffee brand she buys, knew she changed the gym time. Small things, but that someone who was 2 years old should not know. The real discovery happened by pure casualty. Rosa was tidying up the room when Victoria's bag fell to the floor. Several things spread. Helping to collect, Rosa saw a light bill. The date was 3 months ago. The address was from an apartment here in the city. Victoria was not in Spain. "I was living here closely. But why would you lie about it?" Rosa began to notice other things. Photos on Victoria's cell phone showed her in places in the city during the alleged 2 years. A selfie at the local mall dated 6 months ago. Another in the region's park for 4 months. Everything was a lie. That's when Mateo managed to communicate with her desperately. The boy made a huge effort to scribble on the paper. 2 identical female figures inside a car. Rosa looked at the drawing and felt a cold in her stomach. Michael saw something on the day of the accident, something that involved 2 equal women. Victoria was in the car when Jennifer died. But before Rosa could better sue this, he heard steps behind her. Finding something interesting, Pink, Victoria was at the door. The smile had completely disappeared from his face. "I was just helping to collect the things that fell from the bag. How convenient you are always in the right place at the right time, isn't it?" The tone of Victoria was cold. Rosa knew she had been taking investigating, and something in Victoria's eyes said she wouldn't forget that. That night Rosa came home and the door was ajar. Your heart shot. She was sure she locked her when she left. He went slowly and saw that they stole nothing, but there were mud footprints on the floor. Someone was there. In the bathroom, written in the mirror with lipstick, there was a message that made your blood freeze. "You have a beautiful family. It would be a shame if something happened to her." The following week was a nightmare. Rosa could not forget the message in the mirror. "Someone entered your house, someone who knew where his family lived, but I couldn't give up now. Michael was suffering too much and she was the only one who realized what was really happening." The first track came out of pure chance. Rosa was cleaning the room table when she saw some scattered papers. They were documents from the bank that someone forgot there. Robert's name was highlighted. Inheritance transfer, $50,000. Rose was confused. Robert never talked about any inheritance. He looked at the date. 2 Macy S. behind. Exactly at the time Victoria returned from Spain. What a strange coincidence, she thought. Victoria disappears for 2 years and comes back fair when Robert becomes a multi-millionaire. A few days later, something happened that made Rosa even more suspicious. He was tidying up his guest room when he found medicines in the dresser drawer. They were strong, soothing in the name of Victoria. The recipe was 6 months ago, prescribed by a doctor here in the city. If Victoria has been in Spain in the last 2 years, how did you get medicines here 6 months ago? One more lie. Rosa began to notice other small things. Victoria knew the name of the pizza delivery man who started working 4 months ago. He knew the corner pharmacy has recently changed his owner. He knew details that a person who was abroad should not know. It was during a conversation with Robert that Rosa discovered something even more disturbing. "You know, I still don't understand how Jennifer lost control of the car," said Robert sadly. "She drove for years. He knew that color road." "What do you mean?" "It was super careful. I never ran. On the day of the accident, I was slowly because of the rain, but the car got out of the track as if, I don't know, as if someone had pulled the wheel." Rose's heart accelerated. "Has anyone pulled the wheel?" Michael said something about the accident. The first days later, he cried and made some strange gestures, as if he had seen 2 people fighting, but the doctors said it was trauma, that children invent things. 2 people fighting, like the drawings Michael makes to this day. That pink night couldn't sleep. The pieces were fitting in a terrifying way in his head. If Victoria never left town, she turned around for money. If Michael saw 2 people fighting in the car and if the accident was not an accident, the idea was so terrible that it tried to push it away but couldn't. A 10-year-old would not invent such specific drawings about cars and women fighting. A few days later, Robert decided to tell about the inheritance. "Rosa, I didn't comment before, but my grandfather died 2 months ago. He left me a very considerable inheritance." "Ah, good Lord, Robert." Rosa pretended to be surprised, but now she understood everything. That's why Victoria appeared exactly at this time. $50 million. Imagine, we change our lives, right? Victoria is helping me to think what to do with this money. He suggested that we could sell this house, buy something smaller, maybe we change town. Rosa felt a cold in her stomach. Victoria wanted to take Robert and Michael away, isolate them from anyone who could ruin their plans. And Michael, how is this idea of change? Robert sighed deep. He shakes when we talked about it. Yesterday drew some strange things again. What kind of things? Cars, women, a little confused drawings. Victoria thinks it's his mind trying to forget trauma. Rosa was sure it wasn't that. Michael was trying to tell the truth of the only way he could. Can I see the drawings? Robert hesitated. Victoria said it's better not to pay much attention, that the more we focus on trauma, worse it gets to him. Of course, she understands perfectly. Victoria doesn't want anyone to see what Michael is trying to communicate. That afternoon managed to be alone with Michael for a few minutes. The boy was in the living room looking out the window. Hi, my prince. Is everything okay? Michael looked at her with those sad eyes. He made a gesture pointing to the paper and pencil on the table. Want to draw something? He nodded, took the pencil with shaking hands and began to scribble. The drawing that came out was clearer than the others. Two identical women inside a car, one holding the steering wheel, the other pulling hard, and a small child crying in the back seat. Rose felt the blood freezing. Did you see this happen, love? The day Mom got hurt? Michael nodded, tears in her eyes. Was Aunt Victoria in the car? One more yes. Were they fighting for the wheel? Michael cried and pointed to Victoria's figure in the drawing. Then he made a sudden movement with his hands as if pulling something. Rosa hugged the boy who threw himself into his arms crying. It was the first time in weeks looking for someone's affection. You were very brave to show me this. But when he raised his eyes, he saw Victoria stopped at the door with that cold smile that she already knew well. What a beautiful scene, said Victoria. You two are very close. Michael immediately walked away from Rosa and returned to the apathetic state. Fear had returned. Robert arrived at that moment. Did something happen? Nothing important, Victoria answered quickly. Only Pink, comforting Michael again. She has a very special way with him. The way I spoke made it clear that I was going to use it against Pink later. What Rosa didn't know is that Victory had lying on everything. She was never in Spain. In fact, I was living right here in the city, watching, waiting for the right moment. And that moment arrived when Robert inherited $50 million from his grandfather 2 months ago. Victoria always loved Robert first. I always wanted it for you. Jennifer arrived and spoiled everything. And now that she was no longer on the way, Victoria wouldn't let a mere maid Filipina ruin her plans to finally have her life that should always have been hers. In the following days, Victoria increased the pressure on all sides. With Robert, he planted more questions about Pink. I noticed how Michael clings to her. This is not right, Robert. A traumatized child cannot create this dependence on an employee. With Michael, he intensified the emotional blackmail. Did you show you any drawing to Rosa? Because you showed yourself, she can get in very ugly problems. And Daddy can also get upset. And with Rosa, the threats became clearer. You have a beautiful family, aren't you? Your mother, your brother. It's important to take good care of those we love. The way Victoria spoke shivered Pink. How do you know about my family? By the way, how is your mother? Still live in that colorful house? Rose froze. Never said where your mother lived. And your brother Diego, right? Still works at the gas station on the main avenue? Rosa's heart shot. Victoria had investigated her entire family. Why are you asking that? Just curiosity. The same way you are curious about certain things. The threat was very clear. If Rosa continued to ask questions, your family could pay the price. That night he called family members. Mom, are you right there? We are, daughter. Why? If there is a stranger out there, don't open the door. What a strange, Rosa. It's worrying me. It's just a precaution, Mother. But Rosa knew that precaution would not be enough. Victoria has already shown that she was capable of anything. It was at this time that he realized that he was being watched. Victoria appeared in the most unexpected places, always with excuses. Ah, how about finding you here at the bakery? How funny. You also came to the supermarket today. Casualties were many to be casual. They were following Pink. During one of these casualties, Victoria let out something revealing. You know, Rosa, some people ask too much questions in life, and that can be complicated for them. What do you mean? I want to say that excessive curiosity sometimes brings problems, especially when you get things that you should have been in the past. Victoria confessed nothing directly, but the message was clear. I knew Rosa had discovered too much things. Understand what I'm talking about, right? Rosa just shook her head, pretending she didn't understand, but inside she was terrified. End of the 6th week, Victoria realized that she needed to act soon. Michael kept trying to communicate with Rosa through the drawings. Robert was starting to ask questions about inconsistencies in his story, and Rosa knew too much things. It was time to solve the problem once and for all. That afternoon, Robert went out to solve heritage issues. Michael was sleeping in the room after lunch. The house was silent. Rose, how about a tea? You look very tense lately. Rosa suspected but didn't want to look paranoid. Thank you, Mrs. Victoria. Victoria prepared tea in the kitchen. He took one of his soothing and mixed in the hot liquid. It was a strong medicine that used to sleep. Here it is. It's a soothing tea. I always use it when I'm anxious. The tea had a strange kind of bitter taste. Rosa noticed in the first sip. It has different taste. I put a little honey. Rosa pretended to drink, but when Victoria was not looking, she poured the liquid into the vessel of plants next to the armchair. You know, Rosa, I've been thinking about our situation here. What situation? Well, you've been very observant lately. Ask many questions about the family. Victoria's tone was changing, getting colder. Very curious people sometimes discover things that can be dangerous to them. Rosa pretended to be sleepy, leaning her head in the armchair. I don't understand. Of course you understand. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Victoria approached, thinking that the sedative was taking effect. Some people do not know when to stop by where they should not, and this can have sad consequences. She bent near Rosa, whispering, "You have such a beautiful family. It would be a pity if something happened to her because of her curiosity." Rosa kept pretending that she was almost fainting, but inside she was alert. What Victoria did not imagine was that Rosa had learned something valuable working for rich families, always having a plan B. While pretending to be sedated, Rosa discreetly triggered the apply recording captive on the cell phone that was in your pocket. Each word of Victoria was being recorded. What? What do you want? What I always wanted. Let it disappear from our life, from the life of Robert, from Michael's life. Victoria walked around the room talking as if she was thinking aloud. Do you know what the story is going to be? You were very depressed because you couldn't help a traumatized child. The wait was awesome. He decided that he was no longer worth living. Rosa realized that Victoria was planning to pretend she had committed suicide. Why? Why are you doing this? Victoria stopped and looked at her. Because finally, I can have the life that should always have been mine. I met Robert first. I loved him first. Jennifer arrived and spoiled everything. The words came out loaded with years of resentment. And now that she's not on the way, I won't let a maid any arrangement of mine. Victoria left the room to look for more things, thinking that the soothing was working. That's when Rosa heard a noise in the hallway. Small child steps. Michael had woken up. The boy appeared at the door, still sleepy. When she saw her, she smiled a little. At that moment, Victoria returned carrying a rope and was furious to see Rose standing. Well, it looks like my tea didn't work well. Your tone has changed completely. There was nothing sweet anymore. It was the voice of someone who got tired of pretending. Michael realized that something was wrong. He looked at Rosa, then to his aunt, and his eyes filled with fear. Glad you woke up, Michael. You'll be able to say goodbye to your little friend. Victoria blocked the exit. Rosa tried to move but couldn't pass. It was then that something extraordinary happened. Michael saw the woman she loved in danger and felt an urgency she hadn't felt for 3 years. Needed to protect Pink. No! The scream came out of his throat like thunder. It was the first clear word in 3 years. Victoria was in shock. The rope slipped from his hands. Don't hurt the Rose. Michael's words came out broken but determined. She's bad. Michael pointed to Victoria with the trembling finger. Daddy, Daddy. Now I could scream louder. Robert was coming at that moment. He heard his son's voice and ran into the house. When she saw the scene, Victoria holding a rope, trapped Rose, Michael screaming, didn't understand anything. What is happening here? Daddy, she wants to hurt Pink. The words came out slowly, but Robert managed to understand. Victoria, what is this story? But Michael didn't stop. It was as if a dam had burst. She in the car with Mom. Robert froze. What car? What a mom? She pulled the steering wheel. Robert felt the floor disappear under his feet. What are you saying, son? I saw everything. Michael was crying, but the words kept leaving. They fighting in the car? Aunt Victoria pulled. Each word was like a punch in Robert's stomach. Mom fell by her. Robert looked at Victoria, who was pale. This is not true, Robert. The boy is confused, traumatized. I'm not confused. Michael's voice was getting firmer. She said she wanted you to her, that Mom stole you. Victoria saw that she was trapped. Okay, we talked in the car. Yes, but it wasn't on purpose. The words came out in despair. She found out I still loved you. I said I was going to tell everything. I was going to ruin any chance I had. Robert was shaking with anger, and then killed her. I just wanted to make her stop. I just wanted to talk. But she resisted and my wife died. And you let me blame me for 3 years. Let my son carry this guilt. It was then that Rosa showed the asset he had kept. Robert, listen to that. She took the cell phone and reproduced the recording. Victoria's voice echoed through the room. Because finally I can have the life that should always have been mine. I met Robert first. I loved him first. Jennifer arrived and spoiled everything. Robert was livid to hear the full confession. I was not to blame, it was she who had. Michael shouted, finally free. Liar. Robert took his cell phone and called the police. Hello? I need help. I have a murder confession here. Police arrived in 15 minutes. Robert had told everything over the phone. When the police entered, they found Victoria sitting on the floor crying, Robert hugging Michael, and Rose still in shock. Mrs. Victoria Whitman is arrested for murder and attempted murder. When they put the handcuffs, Victoria looked at Robert one last time. I always loved you, Robert, more than her. Who loves does not kill, Victoria. But while Victoria was taken, Rosa received a call from the family lawyer. Rosa, you need to know something. Victoria is not Jennifer's sister. We did an investigation after your call yesterday. They were not a twin-S. Victoria had plastic surgery to be identical to Jennifer. Robert almost fell when he heard that. Victoria had lied about everything. His identity, his entire life was a scam built to steal him from Jennifer.